and recording device couldn't tell, so we kicked it off, kicked it back on. I'm losing my little white dot. I'm missing my security blanket. When you're making content for YouTube and you can't tell if you're recording, it's disconcerting. It's like in the back of your mind. So I apologize for these little blips I keep doing. It's a new, I use GeForce, NVIDIA GeForce Experience for those curious or want to make their own videos. It does a decent job, although it does not record in 60 frames per second. I'm eventually going to upgrade to that because then everything is liquid smooth. 30 frames per second is okay, but I've got the computer, the system, the frame rate to handle 60 all day. And this is beautiful. Look at this. These are troops in our garrison here. So let's make a Nordic Delta Force. You know, we'll make the best army possible. We only have one army, although we could make another one at this stage. We are, we are a vassal. At this stage, you can start making your own armies. In fact, our wife could command an army. That would be cool. We got to meet our wife, right? We've got this new gal, and we've got to make sense of stuff. So I heard the origin of the American form Delta Force comes from the Norse. There was a river, there was a delta at it where the Norse had an incredibly strong group of Vikings. The word was they gnawed down trees with their teeth, and they became the original Delta Force. Of course, we're just trying to keep things lively on the channel. That is fake news, but that's kind of what we're going to do here. We're going to make an incredibly powerful army. Our army now is probably 70% tier 4 and above. We've got a lot of archers, but that's how you want to do things in Bannerlord in the early stage. Now, let me talk about that for 30 seconds here. In the very early on here, as we dump a bunch of food into our stash here, this is something you want to do in case you get captured, right? We can run back here, get a bunch of troops, get a bunch of horses, food, etc., and get right back into the game. In the early on at Bannerlord, the mercenary stage, especially the mercenary stage, but probably even the vassal stage at the beginning where you have one army, is you want to have at least 50% archers. And I know a lot of guys are gritting their teeth at that. You're Nord, right? Get in there and fight. Yeah, it's real fun, and you get obliterated because you have a tiny force in huge battles. You're not going to do very well. You're not going to get very much kills and influence and spoils, etc. And you also can't do many tactics. Hey, our wife just joined us here, and our garrison is hemorrhaging troops. So, let me think of what to do here. You know, we've got our wife. We can make her the governor, but wow, she looks badass. She's got a big gnarly axe. You know, it's a good example of, she may not be the most beautiful woman in the world, but this is a great wife we just picked up here. I'd marry this gal in real life. I bet she's a socialite. I bet she's got some funny stories at dinner parties. She can probably make a mean fruitcake. She can probably, take care of a deer. She can do all of the dressing, quarter a deer beautifully on her own, give birth to children, cut people down with her battle axe. I heard she's a charmer. She's got all kinds. She's skilled in the art of coquetry. We'll take this gal here. This is great. And she's a foot troop, too. I love this, right? We've got our wife's getting her axe bloody on the battlefield. Get her gear set up a little bit here. Let me finish that point. If you have archers, and if you know what you're doing, and if you come visit our channel, you're going to know what you're doing, you will dominate the mercenary stage. You will be rich. You will get everything. You will get spoils, as we've been showing in this series, right? You will get all kinds of influence and goods and skill perks and everything, right? You're going to get Amazon packages you didn't order. You're going to get everything if you use your archers well in the mercenary stage. Siege defense, being an auxiliary wing of a big army. In fact, that's what I'm hoping to do right here. We've got this Nordic army rolling around with us, and we're going to be essentially on the wing. In fact, just like that battle, if you watched episode 4 or 5, or whenever we made our invasion into Valandia, where we were part of an army and just commanding one division, we fucking ripped it, right? Our division, you couldn't see. It continues to hemorrhage troops here. Hemorrhaging troops. Why are we... I gotta figure this out here. Don't know why our castle's losing troops. We've got everything clicked. The loyalty's high enough. It's not starving. This is a new one for me, so I need comments here. Help a brother out. Why is my garrison... Why are troops routing? I can't think of anything I can do I mean, we even have food in the stash. So, you know what you do? All your garrison is leaving. You just order these guys into the army, right? Let's make a party here. Put our wife in charge of it. She's a well-rounded wife, right? And by the way, I recommend that for real life also, right? Don't pick the prettiest woman in the room unless she's a spectacular person, a kind-hearted, patient, preferably non-smoking, wonderful woman, right? You want the most well-rounded wife. I assure you, you will have a happy life and a happy Bannerlord game as well. Although there's nothing wrong in Bannerlord with having a straight tank and warrior wife. I think well-rounded for a wife is good because we can assign her as the governor. She'll be very adequate. We can bring her into battle like this. She's got a party now. She's got some good perks that she's bringing to that party. And just like in real life, right, you want to make sure that your wife brings something to the party. I think we'll just let this guy get captured. This is another one of the strange elements of Bannerlord. You can basically just ignominiously stand there while your comrade gets captured and then come in and swoop in, smash this guy to pieces, and then pick up all the prisoners. Some of these, you know, we're showing these to a little bit of more detail because, again, a little tiny bit of a guide here. It's basically 3 parts, right? It's 1 part me just rambling because I'm a caffeinated nerd. It's 1 part educational for the guys who haven't played a lot of Bannerlord. Maybe you just picked up WARSAILS and Bannerlord. You've never played either. You're in the right place, right? Although that said, you're going to want to visit some of our easier guides, right? This is probably going to completely overwhelm a new player. But maybe you got 500 hours and you've never commanded your army, right? You've done a whole lot of F1, F3. Keep those testimonials coming, by the way. The guys that write in my comment boxes, hey man, I tried some of your tactics. Hey, I tried this, I tried that, and I've never experienced success like this before, right? I smashed these Sturgians at this siege defense. That shit tickles my toes, right? It absolutely, or curls my toes, I guess is the right word. It absolutely makes my day. It tells me I'm doing my job, right? And of course, it lets other guys know that they're on to something great here. What's great about it is Bannerlord is made for the thinking man, right? Yeah, you can absolutely smash your way through a campaign and win every battle where you outnumber the enemy in F1, F3, but man, does that become boring, right? The way to play Bannerlord, where it has a lot of interest and a lot of, it's going to keep you entertained and enjoying it for longer, is to be the commander, is to be the intelligent person here, right? So continuing on that theme here, we're going to systematically extinguish this little Sturgian force. They're in a defensive knot. Again, you can F1, F3 here. Oh shit, I might have fucked up here. I wanted to join my troops, but these Sturgians are like, all right, we got one, a single dipshit here we can pick off, and they're all chucking their javelins at me. Let's get some help here. But I'm systematically going to exterminate this Norse force. We've got units kiting them. We've got skirmishers now on their flank, and the death spam tells you all you need to know. To finish that point, though, again, my legendary interruption abilities are intact. The biggest joy, in my opinion, of Bannerlord comes from having difficult situations, epic battles, and winning where you clearly, definitively made the difference, right? With your command skills, with moving your units around, with deciding when and where to attack. You have complete ability to micromanage your units in Bannerlord. You can tell your infantry to stand there the whole battle, your archers to hold fire and charge, and using your knowledge, right, that you acquire in the game, knowledge maybe you pick up from us or other YouTube content providers, and winning difficult or impossible battles. I tell you, man, it's way up there in the list of joys. This is obviously not a battle where we were ever going to lose, but look at that, right? We got like an 8-to-1 kill ratio in a battle where we would have suffered, you know, serious consequences had we not done that. We get a bunch of more troops. We're just piling up the troops. We every army, it seems like we're fighting, has prisoners. And I think if you play Bannerlord like that, in other words, if you play it with your brains first and your sword arm second, I think you will find more joy in Bannerlord, and the game will just be thrilling for you on a whole new level. And guys say that all the time. And keep those testimonials coming, fellas. It helps other players discover the magic of Bannerlord. All right, so Thiersif. I guess I should learn how to pronounce her name since we're married and presumably, you know, having conjugal visits and stuff like that. Thiersif is with us here. We've got 2 armies, and I may call more, right? We've got, it looks like it just dissipated. There was a storm here, and it just dissipated. and we're sieging, right? We're just shoving our way into Sturgian territory here. We're just making a line of castles as we just march our way right in. We've got peace with the Northern Empire, so we can focus on them. The Valandians are on again, off again, war. We'll have to see if that pops up again. But for now, we're focused on assimilating the Sturgian people into our kingdom. Come with us. We're gonna trap this guy here. Okay, I'm gonna help you guys trap a guy like this too, right? We have 2 armies. We're gonna have our wife be part of our roundup committee here and get the cattle herds going here. And we're just gonna herd this guy into a corner. Now that I've disbanded her, I will have her join us, and she will basically help us move in here. I'm gonna grab a few more armies. This guy, we're Vimy. This guy's got the same name as us. That's weird. Now look at Dirt doing trade agreements with our enemy. The friends of our enemies are our enemies. Valandia, you guys are next. We're going back. Once we get some influence, then we can start overruling these decisions to be peaceful with kingdoms, right? We can tell them, no, there's no peace here. The Nords were definitely not sewing scarves and making pottery and shit like that in their huts all day. They were out ripping up the whole ancient world, right? We're going to be offensive. We've got our offensively looking main character here with his bronze and his bizarre looking helmet. And in a way, we're playing bodyguard division here, right? We're keeping an eye on our castle, but I don't actually want Takor Castle. I want Ove Castle. The reason? I know the castle layouts for 95% of the castles and cities in Bannerlord. Oh, I told you we're doing some conjugal visits. Dear Sif is pregnant. I told you she's well-rounded, right? She gives birth. She fights on the battlefield. She leads an army. Like I said, she probably makes a mean fruit cake or whatever food it is you like. Oh, and look at here. We got some battle coming on here. This is beautiful. We're going to be able to do exactly what I was just talking about, right? And fight on the wing of a big army. It's almost a certainty we're going to be able to get there in time, and these Sturgians just made a big fucking mistake. And call another army or two. I don't want to make too big of an army early on because we're managing our influence. One of the biggest keys in Bannerlord is slowly expanding, right? As you build up influence, you call an army here or two. You know, you opportunistically call like a force here. Actually, let's do this shit. Let's get some camels in our army. That'll be completely disjointed, but it'll be fun, right? We'll have a bunch of camels thrashing their way through the snow. They have javelins, of course. We're going to use our javelin troops to a high degree of skill. And this is going to be fun. Don't go anywhere, right? If you were about to X out, we get our first big battle of the campaign. I love the anticipation, right? Now, this is not going to be a hard battle, right? This is going to be a kind of battle where we're favorite, but that's okay, right? In fact, let's fire up, we're going to do a little side episode. I'm in my head. I'm saying to myself, we're going to cut this out of the campaign. What are you guys doing? You guys are way too early to the party. You guys are all going to get captured. I don't know why they're doing that. Those Nord forces, if we weren't here, if this army wasn't here, they're all captured. Maybe it's because they know this guy's going to arrive. In any case, though, this is going to be a nice guide. We're going to take our army on the side of the flank of this big force. We've got the power bar in our favor, and we're going to try to fight this battle intelligently, right? We're going to try to minimize casualties and maximize death, right? We're going to try to kill more enemy than we get killed. Isn't that a great strategy? Now, let's show you how you actually do that. Get some caffeine here. All right, we got a big, perfect battlefield for a Nordic Sturgian clash here. It's in the snow. Looks like we've got enough daylight. And wait a minute. What's happening here? What are all these nobles from? These are... We're in charge of the whole army, I guess. This is everybody. Okay. I don't know why that is. Maybe the other guy just recognizes that we're tactical enlightenment and that we should be in charge. He's willing to acquiesce here to our skills. So... All right, this is our first big battle where we're in charge of the Nords. This is like that moment where Napoleon, they went up to him at Toulon and said, hey, you know what? Even though I'm a general, you've got the best plan here to take back this fort from those scum British. That was during the French Revolution. And he was like, I'll take charge. I'll tell you, we'll take this fort over here, this Cape Laguillet. You know, we'll take those cannons. We'll have a really good angle on their ships in the harbor. We'll be able to push their ships out. The city will be at our mercy. And I better focus here on what I was doing. Let's talk about our army. Let's not go on a history riff. There's times for that later. Let's build 2 archer divisions. And we're going to zoom in here and spend a minute on our troops since we're in charge, right? We don't want to butcher our first major command. We want to make a good first impression. Look at that. By assigning the 4th Division shields, all of those are the highest ranking, the chosen tier 5 Nord archers. Our 5th archers will be all the other archers. Now, why is that important? And by the way, I did that to separate. We have some horse archers here. We'll stick them in the 7th Division. The reason I separate them is because the 4th they're basically tanks with bows, right? We know now that the Norse archers are actually really good at offense once they get a shield. This is our 1st division. We want to make 3 infantry divisions. There's 3 basic types of infantry in Bannerlord. There's your defensive unit, your skirmisher. That's what those guys are going to be. And then there's your shock troops. Your shock troops are guys with no shields. So you have to use them intelligently. They have a few shields at the front. That's actually advantageous. Your 6th division is our best skirmishers, best infantry. They will be our vanguard, and they're archer killing machines. Looks like our wife is in that division. I put a bunch of companions in that division. They kill archers because they have a shield and javelin, so they can move in, throw javelins at archers that don't have a shield, and do major work. Now, we're a little distance away here, so I'm going to move to a nice high spot in command. We're going to focus on command in this battle because that's our job, right? We have 600, 700 troops at our disposal, and we're completely in charge of them here. We've got a beautiful sunrise. I'm going to get myself a nice Nordic cup of coffee, command this army. All right, so let's talk about what these infantrymen do, their different jobs, right? The 6th Division, as we skirmish with some cavalry here, they're going to be on archer detail, shields, moving up to fight the enemy archers. We're going to spread our troops out too. I'm going to advance our archers, and let's get the 4th Division of archers on this hill. The 4th Division, again, is our archers with shields, and so they can also play defensive. They can play defensive. If cavalry charge them, you tell them shield wall. So the 1st Division of infantry, those are your defensive infantry. You want them being attacked by enemy cavalry and enemy infantry. And the difference is your skirmishers have throwing weapons. Your 1st Division of infantry, in our case, does not. You separate them in the battle screen by giving that 6th Division javelins or throwing axes. The 1st Division, they typically have spears and a very fast weapon. Their best job is fighting enemy infantry and being defensive against enemy cavalry or infantry. All right, so skirmishers over there moving up. You're going to see me basically push the archers back, and the enemy should form a shield wall here soon because we're going to be pounding them with ammunition, and there they go. All right, now also with us here coming to this side is the 3rd Division shock troops. Their job is to kill, but we want to protect them. We want to keep them away from enemy archers and away from enemy cavalry. They destroy enemy infantry, and they will destroy enemy cavalry, but you need to make sure that cavalry is not moving fast, and we'll talk about that. All right, a little bit of skirmishing here over the side. Their infantry division is right in the middle of our 3 divisions. They're dead men, right? They're going to get shot to pieces, surrounded, torn to ribbons. Our 4th division here, I put in a shield wall, but these Sturgians are circling nicely with their skirmishers, right? So it's probably not protecting them quite as much as it could. We've got this 3rd Division here, and this cavalry here. We'll have these guys charge. Their infantry is in the maelstrom. They're right in the middle of the valley here, and these Sturgian forces are kind of fucking with my plan here. Just trying to just stand up there, get a good visual and command, and instead they're like shoving me off the ridge. All right, so infantry into a square. The 3rd Division, all these man cleavers here we can put on the enemy flank. They're going to charge all that infantry. The archers are working. Our skirmishers are moving in on the archers on the other side. And this battle is going to be a massacre. Our archers are just spraying everything here. The infantry divisions can be told to charge. Our archers have great line of sight because we premeditated that, right? We knew where the enemy was going to be pulled to, and we have them spread out. Meanwhile, our skirmishers are moving up systematically. And these kind of decisions in a battlefield is why the death spam looks like that, right? When you look at the upper right corner, it's going to be 80-90% green because we're using battle tactics. We're using our troops intelligently here. And this is the aforementioned joy of Bannerlord, right? If you know what you're doing, you get massacres like this. This might be a challenging battle where you suffer a lot of losses normally, and it's kind of messy. Look at the death span, right? This Sturgian infantry here is completely obliterated. Shock troops and infantry tear into them. Their archers are reeling as they run from our skirmishers. We can do a little bit of killing here, but I just looked down. I have no health. And you don't see the skirmishers getting annihilated because they have shields. Once you understand sort of the rock, paper, scissors of Bannerlord, and it's obviously a lot more complicated than that, right? Skirmishers destroy archers, but only if you use them right. If you're not using your skirmishers right, they get destroyed. Now, the enemy's bringing up another wave here. Good, right? We want to kill more. We want more loot. We want more carcasses of Sturgians on the battlefield here because they won't menace us later once we take a castle. They look like they're regrouping or maybe even routing. This was a thorough whipping here. You know, this is the kind of battle where for sure if you F1, F3, you lose 300, 400, 500 troops. I bet we're down 200 at most. And probably pushing a 3 or 4 to 1 kill ratio. These troops are routing. They've had enough. We get a little beautiful sunshine. Always feels nice on a cold winter day. And good, a good start here, right, to our, essentially, to our Nord command in this campaign, and hopefully a little bit of a tutorial for you fellas. So again, just to reemphasize, 1st, 3rd, and 6th is infantry. You can do it however you want, and you don't have to do 3 divisions of infantry, but if you use the specialization, you will suffer, or you will have much better results than if you just send your units in F1, F3. Multiple archer divisions, using our units at what they're good at, and this is the result. 90, not even 90 casualties, almost 400 kills. So indeed, a better than a 4 to 1 kill ratio. Our own army got like a 15 to 1 kill ratio. Your troops roar with excitement. That coffee tastes even better. And you know, the Nord commander, like in a role-playing element, he was like, "You want to turn over command to this guy with that helmet? Look at him. You want him to be in charge?" And then the guy next to him, or the guy that gave over command, is telling his friend, yeah, that's why he's in charge, right? They completely rolled up the enemy. Our wife killed somebody. He'll love it. And success, right? Take all these punk-ass Sturgians prisoner. Come with us. We've got our amazing helmet. I think it's amazing. Even though we have a nicer helmet from a stat function, we got to keep this helmet on this guy, right? He's got like this totally bizarre look, but he's ripping it, right? He's making it work. We're making it work. This campaign is going to continue, of course. We're going to form our own kingdom at some point, right? We're going to tell these Nords, nah, you know what? You got a whole bunch of incompetent, really strong warriors. You guys can either join us or die. But that is to come, right? We've got to get a few cities and castles under our belt. We are going to play this campaign fast. We're going to play it fast and loose. If we get captured, we'll rebuild. But hopefully that makes it interesting for you fellas. Hopefully it's Fast and Furious, right? It's thrilling. It can be Fast and Furious, the movie episode 57, right? Or whatever the heck they do. Do you want to see more? Now's the time to hit the subscribe button. Please hit that like and hype button on the way out, friends. And I will see you fellas next time. And I don't think they have enough to attack. Maybe they have 600. Our army is pretty strong now. We're upgraded pretty well. We've got some pretty potent troops thanks to the troops they dumped in Takor Castle. Now, I think we're going to try a little castle switch here, and this is another nice little tip for the less experienced player. We're basically going to try to get free troops. We're going to take this castle, or hopefully see if they engage here. They're pulling up short. And we're going to take this castle, dump Takor Castle on the open market, burn it down like they did in Goodfellas, get the insurance money, and then hopefully get a bunch of more free troops at Ov Castle. Because if we dump Takor Castle right before the vote, and maybe that's an exploit, I don't know, you guys are free to do it, basically saying, I don't want this castle, I want this one, and they're probably going to vote us. Now, I'm a little bit nervous here, right, because Ragenvad could definitely appear on the horizon with 1,200 troops. But we have a strong army, and frankly, we welcome an attack at this stage, right? If 700-800 want to attack us, I think we can handle that.
It's been a while.
And here we go. All right. That kind of happened unexpectedly, and that's interesting. They're not favored to win this battle, and I think this has been coded into the AI as a level of variability. Part of me loves it, and the experienced player of me hates it, because I don't want to get attacked where they can't win. I mean, this is really beneficial for the newer player because they get to sort of cut their teeth on some battles where they're favorite. Right? If you're always fighting really hard battles, Bannerlord can be an incredibly unforgiving and difficult game. So let's see what we do here. we might as well do this efficiently, right? If we can get through this with minimal losses, we'll be able to just smash our way through the castle. Hell, we might even be able to auto-resolve. We'll assign our divisions here. It's still not keeping the settings from battle to battle. In other words, the skirmisher, archer, I want to put non-shielded archers in the 5th. We're starting to develop a nice core of Sky God's Chosen, the tier 5 archers in the 4th core. Our army is probably a 7 and 8 on a 1 to 10 scale. It's getting up there, right? It's potent. Look at that shit. There was one sharp shooter and a whole bunch of Sky God's Chosen. We're going to be able to obliterate this opponent. We have a lot of archers. Half our army. Not quite half our army, but almost half our army is archers. And we have just the right amount of cavalry, I think, which we will talk about extensively in this campaign and on the channel in the future, right? We're going to go through these troops. A lot of guys have been just screaming, I want a troop guide, I want a troop guide. We cannot do a lot of custom, well, actually, let me rephrase. We cannot do custom battles at all with the Nords, right? For some reason, the custom battle doesn't have the Nords as an available option. I'm still trying to get an answer on that. Eventually, we're going to do extensive tests, as will other YouTubers. We'll learn a lot more about them. So we've got this raggedy peasant in our Elite 6 division for some reason. So here, we're just going to set up an extremely easy to follow kill box, right? We don't even need to complete the whole thing. But look at the enemy's got 342 infantry. We've got 200 and something archers, skirmishers. We've got Javcav too, because of the Jawal. They're over there shivering on their camels. It's about the strangest minor clan you could have with the Nords, because half the Jawal are naked, right? They're like naked, or they're wearing like a robe or something like that. Their peckers must be absolutely minuscule with the temperature, right? They just, yeah. Well, I guess we better leave pecker size alone. That's not going to get me good approval ratings. So we've got three infantry lines as we continue to talk about. The first is, again, defensive. The third is going to be shock troops, although when I looked at it, there was quite a few shields in it too. I don't mind that, but I do want more shock troops and their cavalry, just suicides here. You still got some fairly dismal Lord AI here. They come up like they're Conan the Barbarian, and they go down real hard. You know, 150 meters in front of the rest of their troops. The morale of the enemy craters, and they haven't even reached our lines yet. The barrage of weapons that are going to enter their flesh at a high rate of velocity has not started to occur yet. Their morale is about to get much worse. And this rates to be a complete massacre. I mean, we have quite the setup. Our troops are spread out. It'd be interesting to see if they can kill 50 troops here. All these archers. We have some Thean champs, but most of these are kind of raggedy, low-level archers in the 5th. We'll protect them. Yeah, 2nd, 3rd, 1st. The 1st will square if we need a division to square. Skirmishers on our right.
Forward! Footmen! Move! Cavalry!
Now, Javcav can just sort of hold off the enemy here in front of our archers. Remain of the belief that your cavalry, unless you have a lot of it, is best used defensively. Now, if you have 150 cavalry, right, you're trashing their archers here. You're charging. You might even do some side swipes of their infantry, break up their lines, kill their shock troops. But why would you need to, right, when we have hundreds of expert archers? I have started to make pleas to Tail Worlds. We've got a couple different access forums, and I have started the early parts of a campaign to reduce the power of archers in Bannerlord. We'll see if it's effective. You know, same thing with the RTS mod, right? We're asking them for those kind of improvements with Bannerlord. It remains to be seen whether or not we'll get those changes. RTS mod, if you're not familiar, basically where you can continue playing after your character's knocked out. Seems like an eminently reasonable thing, right? Most people want to keep playing. They don't want to watch the AI necessarily. Should just tell you what we're doing here. All we're doing is pre-kiting. We got all these different divisions. There's infantry in the center. The 6th division is now firmly behind the enemy, boring in. They're actually chasing the enemy. These archers can move back even further, and we have infantry on both flanks. The enemy could not be in a worse position here. Just pounded with throwing weapons. We can put our cavalry out in front to defend against their archers. And I was thinking we might have 50 casualties in this battle. We might have like 20. They got one kill. The enemy, all you hear is flesh getting torn by throwing axes and bolts. And they scream, and skirmishers are cutting off their rear. Now the infantry can bring in the heavy blows here. It's a lot of infantry, so maybe they'll get, 50 kills just with their infantry. Sturgian infantry is, it's not worthless. It's not great, though, either. We've done a lot of tests with 1.3 so far, and I'm kind of the belief that Sturgia's probably the weakest kingdom still. They've definitely improved them. They've made some changes. Their archers are better. They've got better skirmishers, but their axemen basically got nerfed. Well, they're not called axemen, but the heroic line breakers, they got hammers, and the hammers don't knock the enemy down. Right? It's the kind of hammer where it just does decent damage. I think Mr. Chicken did some tests, and we did some tests as well, and I think the jury's kind of out, but it looks like they're weaker than their former form, which is a little disconcerting. What Sturgia really needs is some kind of oomph factor. They have pretty decent cavalry now, the Drudziniks and the Horse Raiders. Those are both pretty good units, right? The Jav Cav I really like. Guys know that I really like Jav Cav. I'm talking about this ship because this poor Sturgian force just got completely vaporized. They got ass-shammed, mangled, obliterated, crumpled, wasted. Choose some other adjectives here, verbs, whatever the hell. It's been a long time since I've been in school. Whatever word you can think of, they got it, right? We had 24 casualties. I probably won't show battles like that in the future. In fact, you're probably going to notice more and more breaks in this campaign because as much as some players who don't have a lot of experience would love to see, tons of tactics, tons of these sort of battle things and learn. I've got, a broad audience here, and there's quite a few very experienced players that frequent the channel. I don't want to be off-putting to them by having just trouncing after trouncing. A lot of players aren't gaining anything. You're dead, from a whipping like this. So we'll try to mix in, of course, some of these, but we are going to start truncating some of these. It's a necessary step. The day is ours at 24 casualties. So the Sturgians probably could use some help still. I've made the recommendation, 1% chance Tail Worlds is listening, make them the Hammer Kingdom. Give their line breakers hammers that knock units to the ground. Then they would be true line breakers. It would be great, too. Give them, a tier 5 fast-swinging hammer where it can hit multiple guys. And when they swing and hit guys successfully, there's like a 50-50 chance it decks them to the ground. That would be great, because then they would invade the lines, smash guys to the ground with their hammer, smash them while they're on the ground, and they would have a niche, right? They would have this unique thing where it's like they can crush your line literally, give their nobles hammers that just blasts you to the ground. I think that would be a really good change. But the odds of something like that are probably less than 1%. I don't know how much of this will show Castle Siege. Let's just roll with it. I'll keep narrating. We'll stay caffeinated, hydrated. Oh, baby. Ove Castle. So we want this castle. We want it for a lot of reasons. We want it for the troops, and I will show you our little trick. Of course, if you've been watching, if you've been doing your homework, you know that we emptied the garrison at Takor Castle. For some reason or other, they were deserting. Evidently, they didn't like their new Nord overlords. They're going to like us a lot less once we find out that they're deserters. We're going to stop through this castle here. We've got to be a little bit methodical here. This is the kind of castle you could suffer 400 losses on. Why? Because it's a great defensive castle. It has the constituencies of one of the best castles in the game. We will talk about it. We will take a brief glance at it. We'll do a little overhead, a little fly-through overhead using the photo mode. We await the RTS mod, and I imagine these modders are, especially the very prominent modders like the RTS mod fellas, I bet they're a week or two from the release of WARSAILS to live, probably less. I won't be surprised, in fact, if the RTS mod works for the WARSAILS by about Saturday, right? The game releases Wednesday. I won't be surprised if by Saturday you can already use the RTS mod. And don't forget to, if you got extra $5 or want to buy them coffee, I don't know the guys, but man, these modders, they make Bannerlord amazing. And of course, the console guys are like, STFU, man. STFU, exclamation point. And I get it, fellas. If I was rich, I'd give you all $1,000 so you could buy a system. Bannerlord is no question better modded, but we'll have to wait for that. Tail Worlds has not made any kind of claims that they're going to make it moddable for consoles. I have not heard anything anyways. All right, so my divisions got mixed up here. Either that or I was sloppy. We've had some issues with some of the divisions early on here. It's not as bad, actually, as it was with 1.2. I'm not quite certain why this is happening, but we're going to make do here. Right? What we got is a bunch of archers and a bunch of skirmishers behind divisions going up these ladders. And that's about as effective a siege as you can make without building siege weapons, right? Nothing can stand on the wall. It all gets immolated by all of these throwing weapons. It's picturesque with the snow falling and the teeth of the enemy getting shattered out of their faces and falling to the ground. The only way you can tell the teeth from the snow is that the teeth fall faster. It's basically going to be a massacre. Now, that said, what is good defensive about a castle? What is great about this castle? There's a number of different things that you want in a defensive castle, but one of the biggest ones is a big wide open courtyard that slopes down towards the gate and or the wall the walls, right? Preferably everywhere without a lot of shit in the way. This castle has that, right? This is one, I think there's about 3 or 4 castles within Sturgia that follow this model. And by the way, right, if you want castle guides, you're in the right place. We have an entire playlist that have about, I would say, 2/3 of all of the castles and cities in Bannerlord that are on there, right? And the rest are probably on the Patreon channel. At this stage, we have filmed successful guides, not just successful, but wildly successful guides for cities and castles throughout Bannerlord. And we talk about what are the constituencies of it. It's basically this huge wide open courtyard, which allows archers to set up down there and just spray you. Now, there's lots of defenders coming up here, but we're just going to break out here to the right. It doesn't look like there's anybody left alive over here, so I can now help our guys blow a hole here. It feels like we're being shot at, but I can't tell if those are our arrows or what. Getting kind of hacked at. Who's shooting me? What the hell's going on here? Is there someone in the trees or something? I think those are our arrows, and it's an optical illusion. But it's a situation you just sit right at the edge here, slam them in the back, and clear the way for the rest of your lads. Now look where I'm standing, right? If the AI was defending like we recommend on the channel, I would be dead. I'd be shot by thousands of arrows. My guy would make a funny sound, and he'd lay on the ground, and the defenders would shake their hands and be like, oh, another successful siege defense. These castles, if they're defended correctly, cannot be taken. And I mean, like, I want to say 5,000 troops, right? If you have 250, 300 defenders, this castle can't be taken by 5,000, right? You can defend 20 to 1 outnumbered and just crush everything in sight. It's amazing how defendable this castle is, and this is part of why, right? The area I'm standing in is vast. It slopes down to the gate. Yeah, it's OP. Now, they're doing their best just to kind of stand on the walls, but they have no archer support, right? You don't notice anybody shooting me, right? I don't know where those arrows were coming from earlier. Maybe they got like 2-3 archers here. Just like open field battles, you want to have about 50% archers. For siege, for battles like this, I'm going to get killed here if I'm not careful. I'm trying to open this damn door. We're not losing a lot of troops, but they're stubbornly fighting here in the courtyard. Bring our troops through the gate. But there's 2 different parts of this castle that also make it exquisite for defending, right? It has 2 different back ramparts that can be used by archers without being hit by the enemy outside, right? That's really rare in Bannerlord. There's not a lot of those, and this castle has 2 of them. Now, I really should say these castles, because this castle model, I think it's about 3 or 4 Sturgian cities, and in our guides we cover which ones precisely those are, right? The Sturgian castles, there's 2 different modes, map layouts basically, layouts for the castles. And just kick these guys to death. The rumor was originally that they were going to have a unique city and castle layout for everyone in the game, but I imagine the map maker was like, fuck you, that's like 250, you're not paying me enough for that. So there are duplicates. I think the Imperials have 3 different types, or maybe 4 different types, but that's like 30 castles, right? There's like 8 or 9 of each. The joy of that for you is that once you learn how to defend castles, once you learn which castles are great to defend, the cities are great to defend, you've got yourself a Helm's Deep, right? If you're Theoden and the orcs are coming and you're outnumbered 20 to 1, you hunker down in your castle with your lads, you put in a sizable garrison, you give the militia extra rations, and is there any greater feeling than being in a safe place with a whole bunch of your lads, defending the front door tooth and nail as the enemy gets slaughtered left and right. It's a great feeling, and it's definitely one of the best ways to advance your skills, etc. Now, if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing here, this is the bait and switch. It's an exploit, if you want to call it that, or it's just being intelligent with the system, right? By giving up that castle, that, by the way, has virtually no troops in it. Let's see what's happening here. There's Sturgians all over the place. We don't want to get ambushed while I'm telling you how to play ambushed and captured while I try to sound intelligent here. Look at this. Now we get Ove Castle. And why is that beautiful? First, because it's great defense, right? It's an incredibly good defensive castle. By the way, Takor Castle is not, right? Takor Castle is a different layout, right? Like I said, there's 2 in Sturgia, and this is not. And look at this. How gorgeous is this? 38 of the tier 5 archers. So you can consider it an exploit. Now, to be fair, some of these are from our wife, right? Our wife very generously dumped a bunch of the troops we gave her into the castle, but at least we get to go fetch them, right? And instead now there's 11. Some other lord gets 11 at Takor. He gets a disheveled pile of shit castle. That's going to be a liability for him. Meanwhile, we load up, right? This is, it's another good tip for fellas. If there's a maddening process for you on castles, again, just to cover this while we move some troops around here, I'm just going to take the best of the best. We'll leave 125 or something like that in here while I do this to cover this again. If you have no castles and a decent amount of clan tier and influence, in other words, you're not a green vassal. And by the way, you shouldn't be joining a kingdom if you're super green, right? Make some money in the mercenary stage. I think a good stage to join a kingdom as a vassal, unless you're in a hurry, is tier 2 at least. Tier 3 would be better. Let me show you this shit real quick. The key, though, is to have no assets, no cities, and no fiefs if you want a particular place. Say you want Varcheg, right? You want a city, you're Sturgian, or maybe you're Nord, and they take, you want to defend Varcheg, and while you're sieging it, get rid of your other possessions. When you take it, the odds of you getting voted are very high, right? There's your key. Enjoy, fellas. I'm here. All right, friends, we do just a brief little after wrap-up narration here. Apologies for not getting the intro at the beginning and the extra, or whatever it's called, at the ending of these episodes. A lot of these I'm just filming live for 3 hours and then snipping them into bite-sized chunks. So we'll just put this at the end there. I appreciate you, fellas. Thanks for watching again. Tune in for the next episode. Hit that like button if you don't mind, and I will see you, friends, next time.